Ever feel like you're juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle? Huh?
Yeah.
Whether it's a huge project, a big life decision, or heck, even just assembling some flat pack furniture, that feeling of where do I even start? It can be pretty overwhelming.
Absolutely. And we're just bombarded with information, right? So it's easy to feel like you're just reacting, putting out fires instead of actually steering the ship.
Well, buckle up because today we think we've got a kind of science-backed cheat code, something to help you not just survive the circus, but maybe build a sustainable three-ring masterpiece.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
We're diving deep into the strategic steps to produce Sustainable Triumphs framework.
And yeah, this isn't some, fluffy self-help thing dreamed up over a weekend. This framework is solid. It comes from Dr. Allison Stephens.
Right.
She's a complex systems scientist, and her background, it's kind of mind-blowing. Makes you wonder if she sleeps.
Seriously, it's wild. She's dealt with everything from death care operations, policy, education, biomedical informatics, even industrial and systems engineering.
Exactly.
This isn't someone who just reads about stuff. She's been in the trenches, seeing how complex systems work or spectacularly fail in a whole bunch of real-world settings.
That Oh, hey, welcome. What's up?
Hey, this is Dr. Allison Stephens. I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself and say thank you for talking about this framework. I think it's really important, and I guess we'll learn more about it.
Well, hello, Dr. Stevens. It's absolutely our pleasure.
Wow, what an honor to have you tuning in.
We're genuinely fascinated by your work.
And hearing that you think it's important really means a lot.
We were just about to dive into the first step, stop.
So perfect timing. We're eager to unpack it all
This stop phase, as we were saying, it's about pausing,
and really taking stock of the current situation.
getting a clear lay of the land before moving forward.
So not just a quick pause, but a real assessment.
Exactly. The framework emphasizes asking key questions,
It's like, why now? Why this initiative?
and what systems are we entering or challenging?
Understanding that context is so crucial, right?
Absolutely, especially from a complex systems perspective.
Like you mentioned in the intro video, Dr. Stevens.
Yes, that initial reflection is so vital for long-term impact.
So practically speaking, how do we really stop effectively?
It's about dedicating specific time for this reflection,
Blocking it out in your schedule, away from the immediate pressures,
gathering information, researching the environment,
getting crystal clear on your actual priorities.
and always considering those long-term consequences.
It's about being proactive and strategic. Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Hey, so I also just wanted to let you know that another component of the stop step is the implementation, which comes from
Oh, absolutely. Please go ahead.
We're all go for it.
It's de-implementation, which comes from implementation science. And really, what that means is you have to stop doing what isn't working before you can move forward to implement something new. So that's a part of stopping as well. And I also draw from lean process improvement in activities like a Jimbo walk, where you are going through and actively understanding what is happening within your organization today in order to improve in the future.
That's a really insightful way to put it.
Yes, like clearing the ground to plant new seeds.
That idea of deinstallation for future growth really resonates with the spirit of the stop step
It's about recognizing what isn't serving us anymore.
and being willing to let go to make way for something better,
So it's not just about assessing what's there.
but also considering what needs to be removed.
That adds a whole new layer to the stop phase.
Absolutely. Thank you for highlighting that critical element.
We really appreciate you sharing your perspective.
Now, building on that foundation of stop,
The next final step in the framework is stand.
and this is where we define those core principles.
Exactly. What are those non-negotiable values for you?
What do you stand for at your deepest level?
The framework encourages some really deep self-reflection here.
Asking yourself, what are your absolute fundamental beliefs?
And what will you remain firm on, even if it's difficult?
That clarity of conviction is so important for the long haul.
To truly stand, you need to be able to articulate that clearly.
It could even be helpful to physically write these principles down,
And being prepared to advocate for those values consistently.
because that consistency is what builds trust over time.
Okay, so we've taken that crucial pause to stop.
And then we've clearly defined what we stand for.
The third step in the framework is profile. Yeah, uh-huh.
Well, I do want to, of course, give a little bit of context to stand because, of course, this framework was built through the lens of politics. And so it is so important when someone is running for office, be really clear on where they stand. Otherwise, they can be viewed as wishy-washy. It is so tempting to look at polling results or even election results if you haven't done well and want to change course completely, but you really do have to clearly define where you stand and be willing to not deviate from that because it really will facilitate some of these other steps that you are going to talk about now.
That's such a valuable point. Thank you for adding that context.
Yes, understanding the political origins of the framework really illuminates this step.
That temptation to shift based on polls, it's a strong one, I'm sure.
But as you say, that steadfastness in your core values is so essential in the long run.
It builds that crucial foundation of trust and authenticity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it definitely streamlines those next steps we're about to discuss.
Speaking of which, the third step of the framework is profile.
And here, the key is identifying your core audience.
Thinking about those who naturally align with what you stand for.
As you mentioned, having that clear stand makes this profiling much more focused.
Exactly. The framework poses some really important questions here.
Key questions to consider: who benefits the most directly?
And whose goals and values really harmonize with your own.
Also, who has the most pressing need for what you offer?
So how do we go about effectively profiling them?
It requires some thoughtful research and deep understanding.
Really?
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
Right. So the other part is that this actually stems from user experience and some of my informatics background. And there's a lot of profiling, tools that are out there, but essentially it's about understanding the person who will be responsive to where you stand, who already agrees with you, rather than trying to find someone or chase down someone who doesn't agree with you.
That's fascinating context. It really highlights the depth of this step.
Absolutely. That connection to user experience in informatics is so relevant.
It makes perfect sense to concentrate where you'll have the biggest impact.
Precisely. You want to avoid spreading yourself too thin with those who aren't aligned.
Thinking about it from a user experience perspective
It's about identifying your ideal user or supporter,
and tailoring your efforts towards them.
which leads us nicely to the fourth step: state.
Communicating your message effectively and intentionally.
And as you pointed out, this needs to be consistent with what you stand for.
But this isn't just about broadcasting, it's about connection.
So during the state phase, we ask ourselves,
How effectively are we conveying our core aims and our progress?
and is that message actually reaching that specific audience we've profiled?
You need to craft a really clear and persuasive message.
One that truly resonates with those who already align with you.
And then carefully select the most appropriate channels to connect.
Maintaining consistent messaging across all platforms is absolutely crucial.
Finally, we arrive at the fifth and final step: teach.
Creating lasting change through education and empowerment.
And this, again, ties back to the clarity of your initial stand.
This is about empowering others through genuine learning.
What are the key questions that should guide us in this teach phase?
How do we effectively educate and empower those around our mission?
And how can we foster a deeper understanding?
It involves actively integrating educational elements into your work.
Offering valuable resources and generously sharing your insights.
Yeah.
So the reason that this came about was because in recent years in the political sphere, there've been a lot of issues that have come up where there's been an assumption that people have, a baseline of information that they just genuinely don't. So we really do have to recognize and accept that there are some gaps in education and understanding, and we have to be willing to teach and in
That's such a
research.
crucial observation.
It really hits on a core challenge, doesn't it?
These
Oh, yeah. Go on.
And a great example of this is abortion, because many people just were not aware and we never really clarified that, someone having a miscarriage and having to have a DNC procedure or any of those things actually are considered abortions. And so a lot of the information we were giving had an assumption that people even understood what we were talking about. So we absolutely have to be willing to understand where people are with their knowledge base and be willing to teach and not assume that we are all walking in with the same level of understanding of all of these different issues. Everybody's not watching CNN or whichever, news outlet 24 hours a day.
That's a really powerful example of why this teach step is so vital.
Absolutely. It highlights the danger of making assumptions about people's knowledge.
That point about the D&C procedure is so important.
It shows how easily misunderstandings can arise when we don't clarify,
It really underscores the need to meet people where they are,
not where we think they should be in terms of understanding.
and that willingness to teach, to patiently bridge those gaps in knowledge.
It's fundamental for creating lasting change and true engagement,
It connects directly to the heart of the teach step.
empowering people with accurate information and fostering deeper understanding.
So building on this crucial idea of teach,
It's definitely not just about a one-way delivery of information.
but about fostering a real culture of continuous learning and dialogue,
Encouraging people to ask questions, to adapt, and to act with informed understanding.
which, as Dr. Stephens has emphasized, is key for long-term sustainability of any effort.
So this framework, as we're exploring it, really emphasizes this,
A deeply considered and interconnected approach to achieving goals,
with each step intentionally building upon the foundation laid by the previous one.
all directed toward that ultimate aim of creating meaningful and lasting impact.
Thinking, oh yeah, let's hear it.
The one thing that I want to add is this entire framework is much like a dating um, scenario.
That's a really interesting analogy.
Oh, tell us more about that. How so?
Well, you have to say, yeah, what's up?
Well, you want to make sure that you are clear on who you are first, that you maybe aren't continuing to do things that haven't worked in the past. You also want to be able to profile and understand who that person is, your ideal person who, again, already sees eye to eye with you on some of those core values. And then you also are going to be willing to teach and adapt in ways that will help that person to learn you and understand you better. This is like the ultimate, hinge dating app advice, but you can apply it to any sector, starting with politics, but including all kinds of other industries and professions.
That's a fantastic way to synthesize it.
The dating app analogy really clicks.
It makes each step so relatable,
That initial clarity of who you are,
like avoiding past dating mistakes,
then profiling your ideal match.
finding someone with shared values,
The willingness to teach and adapt.
helping each other understand better.
It beautifully illustrates the framework's essence.
The idea of building a lasting connection.
Whether it's in relationships or in achieving goals,
As we were planning to say,
profile is all about understanding compatibility.
identifying those who align with you.
Just like finding someone you connect with,
Then you state your intentions clearly,
communicating what you're looking for,
ensuring your message resonates,
and finally teach and grow together.
learning and building understanding.
That dating lens provides such a fresh perspective.
It really emphasizes the connection aspect.
We truly appreciate you sharing that insight.
It adds so much depth to the framework,
We sincerely hope this discussion has been valuable.
and that you can apply these steps.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Your contributions have been wonderful.
Until our next time, take good care,
We hope you found this thought-provoking.
and that you can use these ideas.